is the Esau, the tomfoolery of this man. So we all heard of this Christopher Columbus and all this other stuff, right? They're trying to change it to indigenous people day and all this other junk. So how can you discover a land full of people, right? And that is the issue, right? Also ask yourself, um, how are you able to communicate with people that you don't you don't speak their language? How can you communicate if you have no idea what they speak, right? Just keep that little gem in mind. So we're going to get the definition of discovery. I'm gonna just read it right here. It's from the Oxford Dictionary. You go to Google, you just type in define discovery, it'll pop up Oxford Dictionary. It says the action or process of discovering or being discovered. Okay. So today's class is the lies of Columbus Day. Then the second definition, discovery is a legal process where parties in a lawsuit exchange evidence and information to prepare for trial. It can also refer to the act of finding something new or becoming aware of something, such as a scientific discovery. So when they use these words, they know what they're doing, right? So let's see. The natives, as people think about it, when they say discovery, because it's all as smoke and mirrors, it's all cloud and smoke, right? Or smoke and mirrors. So as they say, the natives was jacked, right? We can say the natives that were here were jacked, they were hoodwinked, they were taken advantage of, or not. Maybe they had it coming. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that we need to understand of Columbus Day. All right. So did the natives have it coming? Was it white supremacy? Were there savages? What happened? And these lies spread like wildfire. You know what I'm saying? And again, we have to understand the seriousness of this. So I'm gonna give a little background on. We're gonna get into Columbus Day, but we're going to understand how the Most High gave lands to Israel. He gave lands to different nations and stuff, right? But we're going to focus on Israel because I think what people understand is we was in this country called America, and then everybody was here was beat up, and the natives was put on reservations. We were taken from our land. It just seems like we were punks, I mean, it seemed like that to me. I can't speak for everybody, but it just seems like man, how we get taken into slavery? Look at these dudes. You know what I'm saying? We dominate every sport. You know, they had to kill all the hockey players so they can play it. That's how bad we was in hockey. Yeah, look that up. Black men started that, right? Runaway slaves running up to Canada. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how did we get to where we're at? We're feeling sorry for the natives. They can't fight. We're feeling sorry for these Africans that got off the boat, right? But we ain't talking about Judah right now. We talking about Ephraim and all of them. We talking about Israel, okay? So
So
go ahead.
they had a common denominator. They had guns.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that
They
made the
had
difference.
guns. Con, con. And again, like the brother said, they had weapons, they had this, they had that, you know. And again, I'm sorry, Israel. I'm still kind of on the job. We got clients all over the world. So you'll hear different people texting me. I was trying to get rid of some IT stuff. All right. So let's get the book of so we're not losing track. So this class is about the lives of Christopher Columbus, right? But we want you guys to understand that yes, we were given land, and the land that we were given, we were also told if you start doing dumb stuff is going to happen. So I don't want you guys to think that, this discovery was by accident. It's funny they named it that. It's the most funniest name. But let's get the book of Genesis, chapter 12. Let me get verses 1 through 1 through 3. Baba Kusha?
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 12, starting from the top. When you have it, say, Con.
Con.
Con. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will shew thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Abram
Con.
departed.
That's it right there. So
Come,
I wanted him to read, Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. So you guys can get an understanding that, Abraham was blessed and he's saying he's going to be, he will make them a great nation. Now, that great nation is us. Okay. There's 18 nations and we are the top nation. And he said he will bless thee, who bless thee, and curse him who curseth thee. All right. Now, you can take that twofold. So if we're not following the law, statutes, and commandments, yes, we're cursing ourselves. If we up here doing dumbness and worshiping idols and eating shrimp, barbecue shrimp, and I don't know, kangaroo foot, octopus heart, and crocodile, snout, whatever, nose or mouth. You know what I'm saying? We're cursing ourselves. So let's get the book of Leviticus, chapter 26, verses 1 through 2.
my bad. So like
Yeah,
this
but
is the
I
book of
think wait a minute.
Leviticus.
Yeah, chapter 26, verses 1 through 3. Baba Kusha.
This is Leviticus chapter 26, starting from the top. When you have it, say, Come.
Con.
Come. Ye shall make you no idols nor graven image, neither rear you up a standing image, neither shall ye set up any image of stone, for I am the Lord your God. Ye shall keep my Sabbath and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. If ye walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them, then I will give you rain in due season, and the land shall yield her increase, and the trees of the
Con.
field shall yield their fruit.
Con. Salaki. I think hold on. I think I wanted, give me a second. I'll be typing up my scriptures. Sometimes I come up with typos. Salaki. That's the right scripture, but I wanted something else too. Let me see. Oh yeah, drop down to 33. Leviticus 26 and 33. Salakia.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 26 and verse 33. And I will scatter you among the heathen, and will draw out a sword after you, and your land shall be desolate, and your cities waste.
Con. So again, this is what happens. This was no mistake. This is the disrespect of the so-called white man. You know what I'm saying? Because you guys got to understand the time was going on. This was like the second part of the Crusades and stuff like that. All right, we not gonna. That's why I gotta do a class on the Crusades so you guys can be like, oh yeah, this is what your brother talking about. The Crusades was all about that Christianity spreading that stuff. You ain't do it, we killing you. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like they had that thing where they was knocking on people's doors trying to get them to vote for Obama and stuff like that.
Shalom,
Um,
King.
Shalom, Elder. How you doing?
Yeah. Salaka, yeah, the Crusades was all the Jesuits, Jesuit priesthood. Christopher Columbus was a Jesuit too. So
Con,
yeah, that was the Jesuits spreading part of the Illuminati, spreading their Christianity. Um, yeah, it was Crusades. And that's what they got them secrets. They talk about how they've got the hidden secrets during the time of when they was fighting way back in the 12th century too, against the Muslims and stuff. They claim that the Jesuit knights, that's what the knights they claim was fighting for, certain secrets of the temple that they had, going all the way down to what they say the Masonic people have. So it's a real history on the Jesuits in the Crusades.
con. The water, Elder.
Salakia.
Yeah, we go ahead.
What was the first scripture? I forgot.
Oh, the first scripture. It was the book of Genesis, chapter 12, verses 1 through 3.
Okay, thank
And if you don't get them, I'll send you my notes, okay?
you. Con.
Um, so Khan, just like the elder was saying, it's deep. I probably have to do a two-part class on that. And like I said, we want to make it to where as though everybody understand that history is so beautiful to learn. We're going to turn everybody into a historian. Was that the document that made the Crusades legal? Um, it was if I'm not mistaken, it was the Pope where he was the one that gave the authorization to round up all the Jews and everything. Um, I'm kind of rusty right now with it because I didn't want to touch on that, but yeah, sister, we probably I'll give it Captain Ariella, and we'll probably do something soon. We'll probably do something soon with these crusades because that is a really um pertinent part of information that we need to touch on. So I think it'll bring everything home on what us Hebrew Israelites are talking about because in my personal, just from studying it, it's a renaissance period, and we will get into that definition of it because I got some videos talking about some of the stuff the elder was talking about. There's exploration and then there's business. There's certain people. I was explaining this to my rib. Like when I was in the military, officers job is to basically they have a different aspect of things. As NCOs, our job is to make sure the mission is taken care of, but the safety of the men. The officers don't care about none of that. Not all of them are like that, but that ain't what they focus on. They focus on other entities. It works out perfect for some odd reason. It always works out perfect. Sometimes it didn't. That's why a lot of lieutenants back in Vietnam, they found them shot in the back of the head because again, like I was talking to Salakia for a minute. Hold on. All right. Sorry about that. That was my daughter. Just got her hair done. All right. So again, what I was saying was just basically, officers have their thing, non-commissioned officers have their thing, and there's something in the military called the E4 Mafia. Now, if you never served the E4 Mafia, you got to break bread with them dudes. I was in the E4 Mafia. I was an E4. And you can literally turn all the privates against the NCOs and the officers because, you have that much power, that much position. You know what I'm saying? So during this crusades and everything like that, we're going to talk about Queen Elizabeth or Isabel, Shalaka, Queen Isabel, and what she did. Like a lot of people don't understand that because the word on the street is Christopher Columbus stole some money, right? Or he stole and all this other stuff. He died broke and all this stuff. Well, we'll get an understanding of Salakia. Hold on. All right, I'm back. All right. So because I got like four videos I want to show y'all, but they shorts, but they go right to the point, okay? So let's get in oh yeah. So again, Leviticus 26 talks about he will scatter you among the heathen and draw out the sword and all this other stuff, right? So we're going to get into how the Northern Kingdom came over here. But again, this class is called Columbus Day Lies. All right. They did not beat us up. Hold on. What in the
Everything okay, bro?
all right, Salakia Israel. Sorry about that. So so yes, he will scatter you among the heathen and all this other stuff, right? So again, please do not think that Christopher Columbus Day was about our people being punked. The black people was here. Like, get that all out of your mind. Okay. Yes, there was we're dark-skinned people. So, and I'm gonna go into this whole black man stuff. You know, when you say black man in today's colloquial term, it means a black American man. No, there's a lot of dark-skinned people in this world, not just African American males. All right. So, like I say, I'm bringing out these scriptures because you can see in the Bible, in the Torah, it's telling you these things are going to happen to us if we're not following the law, statutes, and commandments. So let me get the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 63 to 68. All right. And like I say, we bringing these scriptures out because you guys need to understand what they taught us in third and fifth grade when we couldn't really like use our mechanics and understand the way of the world. They taught us he came here, he saved us, he broke bread with them, then he left, he came back, they killed everybody, and then they drew war with them, leaving out all sorts of stuff that this man did before he left. Okay, so please listen to these scriptures first before we keep listening to this to Esau and his curriculum. All right, so let's get Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 20, or correction, chapter 28, verses 63 to 68. Baba Kushak.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, starting at verse 63. And you have it, say, Con.
Done.
Con, and it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to be select, over you to do good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught, and ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Salakia, Salakia. All right, so you guys understand that wood and stone, right? So the wood represents Christianity, okay, the cross. The stone represents the Kaaba, which is, you know, the Islam. And when he's saying he will send you from one end of the earth to the next, that's talking about our Northern Kingdom brothers. You guys do remember when that devil brought his butt over here, he took 750 of our men and women back. Some say 500. You know how these number games go. I think he probably took about 10,000 of them back. That's me. No, I'm playing. They only had three ships. But He took about 1,000 people back, right? 1,000 people. 200 of them died on the way from the Indies back to Spain. You know what I'm saying? And he displayed them. He brought back a bunch of gold and all this other stuff like that, right? So this man knew what he was doing. All right. And remember, when I told you about the translators, how was he able to talk to the people? We're getting to that momentarily. Continue, brother.
Why you holding that microphone like a hot dog?
Oh, you can see it?
Yeah.
Oh, you put it there. I know you can see it.
You know that
This
thing
thing
like
huge, man.
you the blizzard.
Oh man, you should have told me earlier, man. Pause. I got this thing in my hand. That's why I want to hold it. I was like, man, this thing is crazy. But go ahead. The water
Cause
came. You tell me
the
that I'm
mo-
like 10 minutes into it, but go ahead.
just hold it regular, man. Ain't nobody looking at that thing crazy.
Man, I don't want to hold this thing up to my
Just
face,
hold it
man.
regular. All right.
All
And
right.
among these nations shall thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind.
Shalakia. So you guys, man, you guys got to watch that movie, 1492. You guys got to watch these documentaries, to see our brothers and sisters, what they went through when that white man landed. He was something difficult. Just imagine somebody coming to your house stinking, smelling like cow manure and chicken feces and
Mm.
freaking just booty because they was on there doing all sorts of stuff, getting off of their ships. You know what I'm saying? Just they because they brought roaches over here, right? They had these little brown things running off the ship. That's
I
all. That's all facts. The roach is called a German roach. So you getting off
believe
the
that,
ship.
yeah.
Yeah, you imagine all that stuff? They're like, man, what the?
Yeah.
Then, according to some of the writings, these brothers and sisters was having dreams and stuff. Yeah, you was having dreams because the Most High was telling you, like He told our forefathers, all right, keep going
I
up here
think
and
they
making them
brought
token
more than
groves.
roaches. Ain't this during the time? And sorry for I mean, I'm sorry, but ain't this during the time where they was like the women was like uh had doing number two in their skirts and stuff like on the side of the streets. It was like boo boo and
That
stuff
was
on
in
the
that
side
was
of
in
the streets.
Europe. Yeah,
Huh?
that was.
That's what
I
I'm
said,
saying. They
yeah,
was coming from Europe with to America during that time where that was going on, right?
yeah. Well, the Moors, during the Moor civilization, they kind of got them. They definitely got Spain and most of Europe, but definitely Spain. They got Spain was probably, and the elders can back me up on this. Spain was probably one of the most um defined, one of the most finest civilizations because the Moors was up there, and the Moors, was our people. They built lights and streets and hot water and all this stuff, taught them how to wash up. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, but they're just a base people. You know what I'm saying? You see what they're doing in these trailer parks. Look at our projects and look at their trailer parks. Yeah, you know
Our
what I'm
prices
saying?
look better than they trailer park.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So we have to identify that Esau is not Ishmael. Esau is Esau. They keep trying to say Esau is Ishmael. No, no, no. There ain't nobody living like Esau. They will turn the trailer parks into Mount Seir. They will turn the trailer parks into a cave. All right. So Salakia. Let's go to verse 66 to 68. Baba Kusha.
Verse 66, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, Would God, would God it were even. And at evening thou shalt say, Would God it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for thy sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, and by the way thereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
Now, the water king. The reason why we had the
Okay.
brother read these scriptures is because we want to give you guys a foundation. All right. So the lies of Christopher Columbus. This man was a lot of things: a murderer, a rapist, a pedophile, a homosexual. He loved money. There's arguments. Was he Spanish? Was he Italian? There's some arguments. I'm gonna have a bonus round. Now they're saying he's something else. But from what I'm understanding in my studies, is that he lived in the area in Spain where Italians and Spanish were allowed to live without there being any war. It's kind of like the country Belgium. If you go to Belgium, you got French and German living there. You know what I'm saying? So, and probably some. I think they got some Americans there too. I think I saw some American flags. I actually went there. That's where what's his name? General Patton. You guys know about him. He's buried in Belgium. He wanted to be buried with his men. But yeah, so it's believable that there were some Italians and Spanish living together in a neighborhood, and so they say that he was Italian. All right. So at the end of the day, he's still our enemy because he was the ones during the Roman Empire. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, I got a little gem at the end. They saying he's something else. But the reason why we bringing these scriptures out, just to guys give you a foundation. No, the white man did not discover America. And no, we were not given to him because of white supremacy, because we're weak, because we were savages. We didn't, we was running around here butt naked with a bone. Our women was just running around naked and stuff. No, there's none of that's true. And I can't believe some people actually believe that. You know what I'm saying? We got to break out of that and we got to make sure we get to our kids. By the time your child is in the sixth grade, you got to let them know because that brainwashing starts in kindergarten. Actually, it starts in pre K. You know what I'm saying? So they already giving kids tablets in pre K. All right. So it's our job not just kick in the door like Kool-Aid and start fighting everybody. That's not what Brother Hashar is saying. What I'm saying is when you got your child in those places, just ask them, hey, what you go over today? Or ask the teacher, what's the curriculum? Yes, we understand that most of our homes is single parents. Yes, we understand most of y'all work 50 hours, don't have no kids, but you don't want them to raise your kids, or your kids is going to be on World Star. They're going to be an IG model flying to Dubai to get pooped on for $15,000. Talking about, yay, mom, I got the bag. I got a Louis bag. Not knowing that, 20 don't last forever. I'm 49 years old. I remember I can bend down and touch my knees and hop back up. I remember I can break a bone and be healed in 3 days. Now, somebody push me. I'm like, oh, hey, shit, anybody got any Tylenol? Well, you can't take Tylenol no more. Anybody got any ibuprofen? You know what I'm saying? I need to drink some what they say the old people drink. Um, it's that liquid stuff. I forget. Anyway, so yeah, I'm joking, Israel, but at the end of the day, we're not young no more, and we have to pay attention to these young ones, or they're gonna fall into the same brainwash that we fell into. So again, we brought those scriptures. I'll give a foundation that Israel, okay, the children of Israel was going to go into some type of trouble. Okay. They were going to be scattered. They were going to be cursed. They were going to be murdered. They were going to be all of these things because they defied the Most High. Not because the white man got on a ship, 3 ships, and came over here and he just took advantage of us with 200 people on the boats. You got to understand, those are military people. He was an explorer. An explorer means you ready. Christopher Columbus was not a pastor. He was not a priest. He was not a politician. He was an explorer, which meant he was a soldier. He was ready to fight. I think people misunderstand when they say, oh, yeah, them explorers. No, them explorers about that life. You know what I'm saying? If you was an explorer, you was like you're like a kingpin, you know, because you're gonna hire vigilantes, not vigilantes. You're gonna hire militant men. You're gonna hire men who been to different lands, who know what malaria is and all this other stuff, right? You're gonna hire those type of military grade men. He didn't have no butchers and um what is it, gardeners and field people and planners on the boat. No, he had straight killers on that boat. And that's why they was able to do what they did their first tour over here. All right. So let me get back to where I'm going. All right. So we're going to show this first video. It's from the movie 1492. All right. Conquest of Paradise. It came out in 1992. I know nobody probably watched this thing. What was going on in 92? I think they was accusing Michael Jackson back in 92. I think that was going on. When did OJ happen? OJ happened. That was 94, I think. But something was going on in 92. I think the Michael Jackson stuff was going on in 92. All right. So some people probably didn't watch it, but it's called 1492 Conquest of Paradise. Okay. So let me go ahead and play this. Salakia.
Hey, Salakia.
Go ahead, King.
Yeah, just saying fair use, fair use.
Oh,
This
Khan.
is a educational video, for educational purposes. So fair use, fair use.
Khan. The
Come.
water. So again, this is fair use, educational. This is for a talking piece. Fair use, fair use. It's only like a minute. Now, some of you already know why I'm playing it. Here we go.
Why do you wish to sail west? To open a new route to Asia. Asia is the richest kingdom, the land of spices and gold. At the moment, there are only two ways of reaching it. By sea, sailing around the African continent. The journey takes a year. Or by land. But the Turks have closed this route to all Christians. There is a third way. By sailing west across the ocean sea. The distance is unknown. It's said to be infinite. Superstition. I believe the Indies are no more than 750 leagues west of the Canary Islands. Did you be so certain? The calculation of Toscanelli, Marin de Tir, Esdras, Esdras, is a Jew. So what was? 2 minutes. Already you're a bad man. For telling the truth? Yes. You are burning people for less. The man you're about to confront, no emotion.
God. So he said Esdras. All right. So we all know our man Esdras, right? So let's get the book of Esdras, chapter 2, verses 40 through 45. Baba Kushak. So they be trying to act like Esau don't know these things. Wasn't nothing around there but Jews. You know what I'm saying? We were all over that land. All right. And one of these videos I'm gonna play you with Queen Isabel is gonna prove to you that, you know.
What is what is
Say it
verses
again.
6? Verses 6.
Oh, Second Esdras, chapter 40, verse 45. Baba Kushak.
This is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 4, and verse 45. When you got it, say Khan. No,
Hold
no,
on.
you read chapter 2, verse
I'm
40.
sorry. My bad.
Khan,
Chapter 13.
I
Yeah,
had
so
wrote it down, but I just didn't know what the first or the second.
like you.
This is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 2, verse 40. through 45. Take thy number, O Simon, and shut up those of thine that are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the law of the Lord.
No, 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 no. Salakia. Is
No,
that
got
second
you.
Esdras? Salakia. Is that second Esdras chapter 13?
No, it's chapter 2.
My bad. Second Esdras chapter 13, verses 40 through 45. Salakia. I forgot to put the chapter on my notes for some stupid reason.
I had one chapter 2 on me. This is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 13, verse 40 through 45. You have it say come.
God,
Come. Those are the 10 tribes which are carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of I.S.I, king, whom Salmanassar, king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the water, and so came they into another land. And they
Salakia.
took this counsel
Salakia.
among themselves.
Salakia. Salakia. So, as you guys see, he read the first verse, right? So, you guys can do your history and look at the Assyria revolt and all that stuff, how we fought Assyria. You know what I'm saying? They was already getting ready to get out of power, you know, because we was getting ready to go in captivity under the Babylonians. And so, the Most High spared us and allow us, or the Northern Kingdom, to get up out of there. So they had this big fight and stuff like that, and it's historical account. Now after that, nobody really tried to keep up with the Northern Kingdom, but this is where they disappeared at. Okay, continue, King. Sorry about that.
Come, verse 41. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow place of the river. For the Most High then shewed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called I.S.I.
Con. So when you guys actually research it, we're in the information highway right now, or the time of the information. It's really hard to find a lot of stuff now. You used to could, Google a Sarah and stuff like that, and or Sarth, you could Google it and it'll say that's where Christopher Columbus landed. Now you Google it, it's like, oh yeah, he landed in the land of the frog, which was kind of a nickname, because of certain other people. I ain't gonna get all into it, trying to confuse you. But like there were another nation over here besides the nation of Israel. I forget the people. I think they were from Japheth, and I forgot what island they was at. But I have to find my notes on that. But again, and then you had brothers everywhere, and then there was proof that the Egyptians came over here and traded. Like people came over here. So when you keep hearing this stuff that, oh well, it was black people here, yes, the Native Americans, the natives that was here, not just Indians, the natives, the 10 tribes that was here are dark-skinned people. Okay, they range from light bright to dark brown skin. That is our people. If you go to Mexico, you will see light skinned Mexicans and you will see dark skinned Mexicans. If you go to Dominican, yes, some of them are from some of the sons of from Spaniards. We get that. But again, it's the spirit. And then when the Most High sent his only begotten son, he will go ahead and weed out, the weeds. But at the end of the day, yes, we understand that we are a nation that can have light brown skin to light brown skin to dark skin. We got to keep forgetting that. People keep forgetting that. I mean, if you go to certain countries, you're like, that a black man? You go to Japan. When have you seen a dark skinned Japanese person? When have you seen a dark-skinned Chinese person? You got to do your research. They don't put them on the news. The funny thing is, and like I say, I'm saying this because think about it. Guys went to war, especially guys who went to war in Iraq. When you guys see an Iraqi, who do you normally see? When I was over there, all of them were like dark skinned. You would see some light skinned ones, but a lot of them were dark skinned. But when you watch the TV, they show who they call the Sunnis. A lot of them are light skinned, but there's some dark skinned Sunnis too, right? When you see Iran, they always show the darker skinned Iranians, but there's some that's light skinned. They show you what they want. That's why they don't show you the darker skinned Japanese. And when they do show you, they got to be like, oh, yeah, these are the lost tribes of Israel. Lot was black. His daughters were black. Like, stop playing. So Moab is dark skinned, when we get all into it. So I'm bringing up these scriptures to prove that the 10 tribes, who we call the Israelites, they're Israel, and we would be Judah. They came over here during the rise of their Syrian revolt. Okay, and it's historical account. If you guys want to, Google it. All right. So, but again, when you look at it, the white man put it in the movie. It's the truth. When a white man said, "Oh yeah, I look second Esdras," it's the truth. Because he puts half truths and he put lies. This is him. Genesis 36:8. Thus dwelt Esau in the Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. The book of Genesis, chapter 36, verse 8. This is this man. He has no flavor, no swag, nothing. He's a base man, and he just becomes a chameleon when he goes and fight other people because he has no style. You know what I'm saying? No style. The only thing he can come with is a suit and a tie. It's ugly. The only thing he can come up with is a suit and a tie. I mean, he could have had something, but that's the only thing he ever came up with. It's fine. He probably didn't even invent that. You know what I'm saying? So again, we're bringing out these scriptures to let you know that Italian, Spanish, Danish, German, Lithuania, etc., they are all white people with accents, aka Esau. So I just wanted to give some background on our Northern Kingdom brothers on why they were taken into captivity. And some people say, oh, it was a freak of nature, or the white man was superior, or they had a civil war amongst each other. No, it was simply put. Let me get Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. This is why they were allowed to come over here and do what they did to our brothers and sisters. Let me get Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. Barbecue shop. Because there's a reason for everything.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, starting from the top. You gotta say come.
Done. You froze out. Okay, there you go.
Can you see me?
I can hear you now. You froze for a minute. Go ahead.
Okay. It shall come to pass, and I shall hearken diligently whatsoever thy God heard and to me, which I command thee. The Lord thy God will set thee on high, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, and thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Go.
Blessed shalt thou be in the city.
Oh, just verse 1. Make sure you try to hold your mouth up to the speaker because you keep coming in and out the water. So
Oh, okay.
Deuteronomy chapter yeah, kind. Because it's like a sometimes when you speak, if it hears it, it'll
Yeah, I
hear it
know
for a
it's
little.
compilation.
Yeah, yeah, kind. So Deuteronomy 28 and 1, it shall come to pass that thou shalt hearken diligently. So again, if we follow, remember what he said in let's get that real quick. In Ezra, you ain't got to get it. I got it right here. So in the book of Ezra, it says one key thing. verse 42, chapter 13, second Ezra, chapter 13, verse 42, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. That's something sharp. You know, the Most High, your mom, your father, your stepdad, the OG, the old head, the whatever, they always tell you, hey son, hey daughter, the grass is not greener on the other side. They literally went to the other side of the world and still failed to follow the. Wasn't nobody there. How you fail? How'd you fail? You know what I'm saying? It wasn't nobody saying, hey man, you want to eat this shrimp? Hey, yo, we got strippers. You know, they wasn't in the land of Canaan. That's where strippers come from. You know what I'm saying? We wasn't tempted by the Egyptian culture no more because we was no longer around that. But remember, Israel, every time we went into captivity, you know, they did a number on us in Egypt. You probably need to go over that one day. But they really idolatry. We idolatry was something else, you know, over there. And worshiping all these different kings and all this other stuff, right? Or all these different gods. You know, Kemet was something else. I mean, I'm almost willing to say Kemet was the strongest Christianity. You know, that stuff was strong, you know, and our brothers and sisters still had that problem. So he said, all right, I'm gonna let you guys go. Kind of like what your mom and dad would say, you know what? Go ahead. Go ahead to the Peace Corps. But I'm trying to tell you, you're gonna come back pregnant. I'm trying to tell you, you're gonna come back with a kid, you know? So that's what happened. So let's get and that's if you follow the law, statute, commandment diligently, he would, you know, observe and do all his commandments that the Lord will set thee above all the nations. But he didn't because some dirty white boy got off a boat and just started cracking that whip. Not literally, but it wasn't too long for we was running with chiggers and lice, all sorts of stuff, gonorrhea. Well, they say the natives had the gonorrhea, but syphilis, all these little different diseases that this guy had for us. You know, I don't know how many women they had on the ship, but I'm sure they brought probably some working girls of the night, you know, to weaken the men and stuff like that. The white man's the devil the Bible speaks of. This guy was an explorer. You think he don't know all the lickies and chewies of what men like? You know, I'm gonna get to the men and try to work through the women. So let me get Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. And this is what's going to happen if we did follow these laws, statutes, and commandments.
This is Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15.
God.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt come to Salaki, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
God. So one of those curses, which we read earlier, you know, being slaves, he was scattered. So we went to Deuteronomy 28, 63, 64, 65. You're going to start worshiping other gods and everything. Everybody knows what was going on over here. Everybody, you know, watched the movies. Everybody read the historical accounts. These brothers and sisters was not living righteously. Now, was every last brother and sister not living righteously? I'm sure they wasn't. I'm sure there were some that was not, you know. But again, the Most High doesn't punish individually; He punished nations. We went through what let me see. We went through Babylonian, the Medes, the Persians, the Greeks, and the Romans. We went through 5 other captivities while they was over in Azareth, which they call what we call here America. You know what I'm saying? Now you know Jake. Maybe Jake heard like, oh man, they living good over there. You know him. He probably took a ship over there and was like, yo, what's up? And he could have brought some of them bad habits over there. Oh man, we don't do the Sabbath. Man, we don't do that no more. You know what I'm saying? I can't put everything on Jake. But you know, men was traveling. You know, the Moors, they invented the nautical compass. All right. And so, you know, men was traveling, not the so-called white man. You know, he learned from us. Because remember, when the Moors left from being persecuted from Muhammad and stuff, they went where? They went to Spain and amongst other European nations, right? But the Spaniard, they got them straight. It's no coincidence that they was one of the richest countries in the world for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Because we get everybody straight. Look at what we did to America. My bad. Look at what we're doing to America. Okay. So I'm not getting off of the subject. This is called Columbus Day Lies. The Most High has punished us. He's the reason why. So hopefully we can get an understanding of why this even is a day. It's the beginning of a renaissance. When you look at the definition of renaissance, the revival of European art and literature under the influence. This explains why this cracker, Christopher Columbus, is called the discovery, because it doesn't even make sense if you think about it. Just take a moment. He was a part of the Spanish Inquisition or Inquisition. He was an Italian man, but he worked for Spain. How are we celebrating Christopher Columbus Day? We're not part of Spain. Last time I checked, Florida was. Let me see what else. Georgia, I think Alabama. I think they were all part of Spain at one point. Okay, I definitely know Florida was. All right. So again, the definition of Renaissance, the revival of European art and literature under the influence. Oh yeah, guess when that started, people? The 14th and 16th century. When did Christopher Columbus come over here? 1492. He went to. It's going to be some videos I'm gonna show. I'm gonna show like 4 videos. But you know, he started out in Portugal. What a coinky dink, because Portugal is to be known to steal the first slaves from West Africa in 1421. It was 16 of them, something like that. Okay, that's when it started. But that's because the Pope was going into this whole thing. So when you guys see these accounts and they talking about Jewish people, they talking about ghettos, that was us. We were in those ghettos. We were robbed. They stole all of our money, and you're gonna see some video footage. So let me not give away everything. All right, so let me get this. I'm gonna play this second video. All right, and the longest one's gonna be like 5 minutes. It's gonna give you a quick synopsis of who this guy was and what he did to the Taino Indians and everybody, or the Tainos. Okay, and it's gonna explain some things. So it's gonna be like 2 shorts, and then it's gonna be a longer video. Okay, so bear with me.
Columbus?
Hold on. I gotta pause these things. They ready to play. All right.
It's not just about fixing
Salakia.
typos. Grammarly helped me strike the right tone, whether I was requesting research opportunities or
Yeah, I had them on pause for a long time, so bear with me. Trying to go through them real quick to pause them. All right. Okay. So I'm gonna play this first video. You guys know this guy. It's a black dude. All right, here we go.
Was an explorer. Queen Isabella? No. She wrote the check, but there was some Columbus was an explorer. Queen Isabella? No. She wrote the check, but there was some private monies mixed in with those public monies, but basically it was a mission of the state. Columbus was an explorer, but when Queen Isabella said, Queen Isabella didn't say, oh, Columbus, go explore and come back and tell us all the things that you found and draw pictures of the flowers and of the natives there. and give lectures on these discoveries. No, she said, here's a satchel full of flags of Spain. Wherever you land, declare the land in the name of Spain, find a shorter route to the Far East so that we can trade more efficiently. There were geopolitical and economic drivers behind that, even though Columbus himself was an explorer. I submit to you that we can talk exploration as a pure urge forever. But at the end of the day, the checks get written for different reasons.
So that's what I was trying to say. You guys can see the next video. You see the Becky? Yazan, you see the next video? I didn't play it yet, but do you see a female right there?
God.
Okay. All right. So his video was going in what I was talking about officers and NCOs. So she went ahead and guess where she got that money from though? This is going to be the dun 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 dun. All right. So she was able to finance them. Okay. Here we go.
Queen Isabella I, the crusading monarch. 1. Queen Isabella I of Castile married Ferdinand of Aragon in 1469, uniting two powerful kingdoms to form a strong Spain. 2. Isabella and Ferdinand established the Spanish Inquisition to enforce Catholic orthodoxy, leading to severe persecution and trials. 3. In 1492, Isabella sponsored Christopher Columbus's voyage, which resulted in the European discovery of the Americas. 4. Her reign also saw the expulsion of Jews and Muslims from Spain, aiming to create religious uniformity. 5. Isabella's rule expanded Spanish influence globally, but her methods and policies have left a mixed legacy of both great achievement and profound suffering.
All right. So you guys saw that, right? All right. So the reason why I brought those two videos out, all right, is because one, that's what I was trying to tell y'all. Like it's written. They make everything half truths. Now the brother, he came out and said some good things. All right. He didn't say all the right things, but he said some good things, right? So it was financial. However, comma, it was because that was the beginning of us getting ready to go in captivity again. Listen to what it said in the video I just played. She started persecuting. She started persecuting the Jews and the Muslims. All right, let's play around with that. Pause. Didn't 19 what year was that? 1948. Um, the Jews went ahead and occupied Israel, and then by 1949, they kicked the Palestinians out and took it over. That was in 1948, right? Am I correct on that? It's 1948. So you saying the Jewish man and woman got kicked out of Europe twice? Now this was in the 1400s. If I'm making a mistake, let me know, Israel. You guys remember, right? The war ended, World War II ended in 1945, right? Britain was occupying the land of Palestine. When the white Jews went over there in 1948, and then by 1949, before the British left, they killed all these Palestinians and took over Israel, named Jerusalem and all this stuff. And that's when they started fighting these Palestinians. So you're trying to tell me 500 years prior, that same thing happened? Does anybody out here make sense? So what Jews and what Muslims were you talking about? He's talking about the Moors. You guys remember Muhammad, it is recorded, killed over 1 million Israelite brothers and sisters to make them convert to Islam. They were all over there. We ain't gonna get into Princess Europa and all these different names and Ireland. No, we just gonna keep it a buck. We was in those areas, right? So how you get kicked out twice? That doesn't that's a legit that's a logistical, That's a cultural, that doesn't even make sense for us to be kicked out twice. That don't make sense. Then we go back 500 years. How we get there? How did all these millions of Jews? You guys tracking what I'm saying though? It doesn't make any sense. This is why this Christopher Columbus, they came up with this PR thing. Oh yeah, let's put discovery and say this and say that. When actually the Christopher Columbus exploration, it literally unlocks that we are the Hebrew Israelites. If you actually study this dude, it really unlocks a lot of stuff. They really couldn't hide it. Why they put in the book in the movie 1492, Second Esdras 13? Yeah, that brother. What did he say? He said, "Oh man, he was a Jew." You gonna believe that N word? Because they was calling us the N word, way before then. So I mean, this debunks a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And when you listen to the people, I watched several videos and they all trying to say, oh yeah, Christopher Columbus did this and he went here and the indigenous people turned their backs on him. So he came back Saudi. Nah, he ain't come back Saudi. No, he got accused of something in the 1500s, but he was acquitted. If the glove don't fit, you must acquit. You know what I'm saying? This dude was a beast. You know what I'm saying? He was cutting off people anyway. So let's get into this dude right here. So you guys see the picture, right? This is Christopher Columbus, right? This guy. So it's going to go. I'm gonna play about 5 minutes of it, and it's going to talk about Isabel, what Spain was about. But you guys got to understand, these timelines we're trying to give you, that there's no such thing as Christopher Columbus Day. This is a reminder of white people when they went ahead and started conquering the children of Israel. This all this is. This is just like Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't saying go out and do what they did to us. Right now we're fishing. We're trying to get you guys, caught up to speed. We're not telling you to go tell your kids to go home, go tell their teacher. My daddy was an Israelite, you know what I'm saying? And stuff. We're not trying to cause an uproar, because then they hit you with the mental illness. Oh, they crazy. That family got mental illness. Once you get hit with that, you're gonna be in the system and all sorts of stuff. So again, brothers and sisters, use wisdom. We're not telling you to go out there and be crazy about this, but you just got to use wisdom and just listen to what's going on because it's right here in front of our face. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go ahead and play this. It's 5 minutes and 39 seconds. Okay. Anybody have any questions, objections, complaints, whatever? Just say Salakia. All right. And if you have a question or something, or you want me to replay it, let me know.
Came to the Americas with his 3 ships. But who did he find there? And how were the Spanish greeted? This is the story of the first contact between the Native American and the Spanish people, and what followed after. The Caribbean, 1492. On October 11th, 1492, the Spanish were approaching the Bahamas from the northeast when they saw something interesting. Land was first seen by a sailor named Rodrigo de Triana. But Admiral Columbus, at 10 o'clock, saw a light, though he was uncertain that he could affirm it was land. Afterwards, Columbus claimed he saw the light once or twice more, like a wax candle rising and falling. It seemed to some to be an indication of land. Columbus had to make certain that land was close. Columbus asked and admonished the men to keep a good lookout on the forecastle and to watch well for land.
The government is banning this $39 electric lighter next month, and this is your last shot to get the original high-powered version.
Salakia.
He made a statement saying that a reward of a silk doublet, along with 10,000 maravedis promised by the sovereigns, would go to the first sailor to see land. At 2 hours after midnight, land was sighted at a distance of 2 leagues. Columbus ordered the 3 ships to halt and wait for daylight before going further. The next day, on October 12, 1492. The next day, on October 12, 1490, before going further.
You see them ships, Shalakia? Look at that. Look at all them cannons. How you an explorer, right? How you trying to be friends with somebody and you got like 15 cannons? That's a warship, you know? That is a warship right there. And those two right there, those other little ships, I was never Navy, but that's a warship right there, you know? And the other ones is carrying ammo and probably small arms.
The next day, on October 12, 1492, after 2 months at sea, Columbus and his crew finally clearly spotted land. It's not known where they landed, but we can say for sure that they landed somewhere in the Bahamas. Having landed, they saw trees very green and fruits of diverse kinds.
Dirty.
Upon reaching land, Columbus fell to his knees, thanked God for a safe voyage, and planted a flag in the ground, claiming the land for Spain, as the Tainos, who had lived there for 1,000 years, watched from behind trees and bushes. Shortly after landing,
Notice what he said, Israel, for 1,000 years, right? So that's scripture, right? So once we got freed from everywhere and they left, we was pretty much doing our thing for 1,000 years. And he was like, all right, guys, y'all getting ready to go into captivity. Y'all ain't getting it right. I got something for you. I'm gonna go ahead and send this cracker.
many of the island's inhabitants assembled on the beach. The Tainos gave them food and drink, gifts of parrots, cotton, and other goods. And the Spaniards gave them gifts of red hats and beads. The Taino people had never seen white men before and thought they were gods. Columbus spent the next 2 months looking for gold. In December of 1492, while they were sailing east of Cuba, 3 ships under the command of Columbus approached the second largest island in the Caribbean, which they later called La Española. Just when he was about to return to Spain on Christmas Eve, his ship, the Santa Maria, ran aground and sank. The Taino chief, Guacanagari, told his people to help the Spanish and retrieve every salvageable item. A problem arose when all the sailors who had accompanied Columbus could not fit on the 2 remaining and smaller ships. So a fort was built using the salvaged wood from the Santa Maria, and 39 men were left behind at a fort Columbus called La Navidad. Shortly after, Columbus set sail for Spain, taking some of the natives and birds, foods, and plants to show the king and queen. For the second voyage, Columbus was given a fleet of 17 ships and some soldiers. Upon
17 ships, a fleet, right? That's like a division, right? So how much is a division? So a brigade is 3,000 men, right? So a division is like 25,000 men. Just FYI. That's a lot of people, right?
arrival at La Navidad, Columbus found the fort burned to the ground, and all 39 men he had left behind had been killed. It seems the sailors left behind had misbehaved in the form of rape of the local women and theft of anything they saw that they wanted. One of the local leaders, named Caunabo, had met with the other leaders, and all but one agreed that gods would never have behaved in the manner that the Spaniards had, and they decided the Spaniards had to go, so they eliminated them and the threat they posed to their people. Columbus vowed to find Caunabo and retaliate. More fortified places were rapidly built, including a city founded on January 2nd, 1493, and named La Isabela for the queen. From that point on, life as the Taino knew it ended. The Spaniards took revenge for the destruction of the Fort La Navidad and also took slaves. Columbus forced the Tainos to work in the gold mines searching for gold. Those who refused were killed. Each adult over 14 years of age was expected to deliver a hogsbell full of gold every 3 months, or when this was lacking, 25 pounds of spun cotton. If this tribute was not brought, the Spanish cut off the hands of the Taino and left them to bleed to death. Taino women were given to Spaniards to do with whatever they wished. The fields, unattended, failed to yield enough food for the Tainos and the Spaniards, whose supplies had run out. All were hungry. Columbus found Calnavo. They tricked him in order to capture him, and he was put on a ship that was sent to Spain and was never heard from again. Many Taínos starved to death. Others died from hard labor. Many committed suicide. Epidemics swept the island. They were beaten, tortured, raped, enslaved, and murdered. After 1496, the number of Taínos fell by about 70%. Wakanakari, the chief who befriended Columbus, also died soon. At this point, the Spaniards in La Isabela.
All right. So yeah, that's Christopher Columbus right there. That's that guy. You know, he came over here, the Santa Maria, the this, the that, you know. He left. He took some supplies and birds. See how they be saying half truths? He was doing that before he left. He was chopping off hands and all sorts of stuff before the man left. All right. So don't believe that. I was wrong on how many men is a fleet. I said like 25, 26. It's 27,000. All right. So 27,000 men. That's a lot of power. When he came back and he reported all that gold, all that stuff that was in this land, he went crazy. You know, you see how beautiful America is beautiful. You know what I'm saying? You can imagine back then, you know, they wasn't, you know, wearing stuff around their necks and stuff. Not like that. So it was just a lot of stuff going on. So wanted to show you guys that. Let's get yeah, this guy, you know, the whole time. Let's get a classic. Let's get the book of Psalms, chapter 55, verse 21. Because it talks about how the guy Calvinor, he was, you know, like, hey man, what y'all doing, dude? Like, this is wrong. Nah, we gonna fight, you know. Then the old head, the chief, he tried to, you know, be friends with him and stuff like that. And, you know, he's killing everybody. So let's get the book of Psalms, chapter 55, verse 21. Because some of y'all be doing this at work, thinking this dude is your friend, thinking this female is your friend. You know, that one Jamaican lady, she found out. The elder was talking about it a while back. She went to that party with all them white people, and she the only one that died, you know. And you know, if you have a party with white people, you know, you get white boy wasted. You might wind up like her. You never party with them. They always doing some borderline destructive Metallica type stuff. She probably fell asleep and they just threw her over the balcony. Go ahead, King. Book of Psalms, chapter 55, verse 21.
I
Baba
got
Kasha.
it. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 55 and verse 21. When you have it, say, Con.
Done.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
You see what that man did? He came back. He built this stupid fort. Now he left a brother there. We're going to get into that. You know, that was one of his translators, Luis de Torres. All right. Which he was forced to be a Christian. Imagine that. You know, when you look into the movie, see the white man, he's the devil that the Bible speaks of. You look into the movie, Jungle, the one with the rock. Hold on, let me see that.
Rock and Kevin Hart.
Nah, not that one. Jungle Cruise. It's called Jungle Cruise.
Uh,
All right. So if you see that movie, it goes into talking about the conquistador and how they came over here. And Rock was a conquistador, but he was a his oh man, his father was forced to convert to Christianity. So that meant the Rock who came over here, he was a Jew. And it's so funny, he's the only one that lived. And he was bound, he could never leave the island. I don't want to ruin the movie. But if you know your history, it's a pretty good movie. I'm like, man, they made this out of a movie. And it's like they making fun of us. It's like they put it out there. They put it right there. You know, like the elders put out a long time ago. All Hollywood producers, all those directors, they have to read the Bible. They have to read it. They have to read that stuff to get that parable, that to understand that book. You know, the parables and the metaphors. They have to, and that's how they do these movies. And that Jungle Cruise, it basically said the conquistador came over here to steal and rob. Guess what they called them? Explorers. But yet we look at explorers as being these noble men. You know what I'm saying? When we were kids, you heard of explorer. You ain't got to sit in here and tell me, but I'm sure I did. I looked at them as being, you know, noble. Oh, they explored. Oh, I want to be an explorer. So I wanted to grow up to go around and murder people. That's basically what I was saying. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I did join the army, right? Anyway, Salakia, no folly. All right, so let's get the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 49 through 51. Because, amen, either they had it coming or this was the Most High's doing. And what we're trying to prove tonight, that Columbus Day was the Most High's doing. And we're going to touch on a little bit of this white man. But what's most important was what he came here for and who told him to come. Pause. Who told him to come over here and what was his main mission. This is what we're trying to put out tonight. It's scriptural what happened to our people, but we're trying to put out how slick the white man tried to make it seem like um it was just a conspiracy and not prophetic. Go ahead, King.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, starting at verse 49. You got to say, come.
Done.
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shew favor to the young, and shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kin, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee.
So you guys understand that. So, you know, the Spaniards, you know, they have the symbol of the eagle, like most of these European nations. The brothers brought that out a thousand times in the scriptures and all the classes that we give, that most of the white nations have an eagle, right? And whose some we couldn't understand when they came over here. We couldn't understand them. They were prepared. How you prepare for war? You bring your engineers, you bring your shooters, you bring your thinkers, you bring your strategists, right? And most invaluable, you bring the philosopher, the one that's he can talk smooth, right? He can talk smooth like butter. And who was that? Christopher Columbus. How he just leave, come back with 27,000 men, and then out of nowhere, he only lost 39 men. Now, we know how the white man get down, especially when he start drinking, right? And you know, they was passing that Swedish Chiba, you know, they was passing that Reggie Bush, all this different stuff around. They up there smoking that stuff. So they getting high, trying to have sex with their daughters and sons. They like, dude, what you doing, bro? I could just imagine what they was doing. You know, the white boy, I tell you, these some filthy, dirty Scott round. Anyway, just dirty, rotten scoundrels. You know what I'm saying? They're a nation of a fierce continents. See, we're gonna see how they get down. Y'all think this whole thing with Trump and y'all don't understand this man. All right, this dude is wicked. Some of this stuff I see them do, I used to be like, this is crazy. I'm going to jail. Cause this dude want to just shoot people. This dude wanna beat. I mean, they used to do so much stuff. And I told y'all, you know, we out there, and the dude grabbed this damn Arab woman, just dragged her out by her hair. You don't touch they women. contrary to popular belief, they do love their women over there. I don't know where everybody getting this. They don't like Arabs. But yeah, he dragged them out. White boy dragged her out by the head, put a gun to her mouth. I was this dude. He wasn't my platoon. I don't know what I wouldn't have let him do it. But he did it. He was part of my troop. They got them. Yeah, they got them. You know what I'm saying? I'll just say that. They lit up on them. And we used to go on patrols and do the same route. My colonel came to me. He was like, "Hey, can I talk to you, Sergeant Thompson?" I said, "Hey, what's up, sir?" He's like, "What's going on with such and such platoon?" I was like, I don't know. He was like, "Why every time they go out, they getting shot at?" I don't know, sir. I don't know. You want me to snitch? Like, what you want me to do? Like, I don't know what to tell you, but they got it. So, and I say that to say, like, that's why I understand the whole blue code. That's why you shouldn't be no cop and stuff like that. When you in there, and stuff like that, it's really hard to do the right thing when everybody got weapons and guns, and especially you're a Christian, and what's right or wrong. He wasn't part of my platoon, but I wasn't going to tell him what happened. He dragged a woman out at gunpoint, stuck the darn gun in her mouth. He was an idiot. They was getting attacked it was crazy. Like we had let them drive in front of us and they just getting attacked. I'm like, no, sir, we're not riding with these cats. We're not going to ride with them. Anything they did, I was against. They tried to set us up one time. I'd take a brief moment to tell you this. So they had an interpreter, right? And or an informant. Yes, we had informants in Iraq, right? Just like there's probably 100 freaking informants in your neighborhood. So, and he wanted to meet us somewhere. Now, you seen tumbleweeds. There was nobody out. You didn't even see a cat. And it's broad daylight. Now, this area is normally, I was like, sir, we're not doing that. He was like, yeah, but I said, sir, that's their platoon. I said, you do know they want it, right? Like everybody want to kill one of them people. He was like, yeah, but we gotta, sir, I'm not doing it. You go. I don't care. Take your men. You're not taking my men. So I took my 3 trucks and we left. And he went over there and did whatever he did. He didn't get shot up, whatever. But I wasn't a coward, but I'm not no sucker. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to tell me to go over here and these dudes waiting with Uzis and machine guns and RPGs and stuff like that because you want to follow some other platoon. That other platoon was a bunch of cowards. They had like one dude in there who had some heart, but they was always doing stuff stupid, and we always had to pick up because that's what happened. That's what happened. That's how I got shot. We was on these stupid boats. They went on the boats first. They got shot up. Nobody got hit. Guess what they said? Oh yeah, you guys can go now. You got me once. You're not gonna get me twice. You got me that first time. First time's on me. Second time's on you. So anytime they was like, hey, could y'all guys go? No, I ain't doing it. And I dare somebody to try me. That was like my second tour to Iraq. So I had some seniority, so I could talk like that. Now, if you're a new person in the army and you trying to tell them no, yeah, okay. They're gonna tie you to the Humvee and make you go. I had a little bit of seniority. But at the end of the day, I'm just saying, you guys got to understand how this man gets down. This man is a killer. His woman is a killer. Until you understand that, you won't be running around here always trying to go to them for stuff. All right. If you need to call police, you get in a car accident and stuff like that, that's one thing. But just remember, this is a nation of fierce continents. Doesn't just because they don't have on a uniform does not mean they're not Christopher Columbus. When you see that man, Christopher Columbus, right? He looking all right, white boy. He like, oh, he got his hat on. He looked straight. He was cutting off the hands of the Taino Indians and letting them bleed out. Anybody got any comments on that? He was cutting off their hands and letting them bleed out. I understand Israel did some stuff, but we got to understand, this man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. All right.
Con, I was just gonna say that he the devil.
Con, the straight devil, the water sister. Con. And so we want you guys to under the same way you tell your son, hey, don't go down there with them vice lords. They the devil. Don't be no cuz. Don't be no blood. Don't be no Latin King. Don't be no MS-13. Don't join the gang in your classroom. Now all these kids got gangs in their classroom. It's crazy. All right. Don't do this. Don't do that. All right. The same way we tell our kids to stay away from our dangerous people. Okay. Do not tell them to be friends with them. You just tolerate them. All right. And are there some good white people? Well, you find them, let me know. You know what I'm saying? And we can have a conversation. So again, these videos, they give half truths, and that's why our people keep believing black men were here. So I'm not trying to confuse you, but here we go. The term black man belongs to African American as of today, right? Because it's like a term that we use for African American men. So once this worldliness called America referred to the black man, it's as us as Israel. So when they say black men, they're talking about Israelites. Now I've known other so-called black people, African people, and they say, well, black means everybody. No, it don't. When you say a black man, you're talking about an African American male from the United States. But to everybody else, they talking about everybody. So this is the problem. I searched on the binge site, right? And I typed in different dark-skinned nations of men. Now I did the binge website. Oh my God, that was like some LGBT. I was like, what? Why does all these dudes look sweet? But then I did it on Google. They kind of kept it, like a buck. So my point is, sometimes, we keep forgetting that word was like, 15th century. You know what I'm saying? And so hopefully, people understand, because now you ask somebody what's their nationality, what they say, oh, I'm black, Italian, Swedish, Cherokee, and Trinidadian. Like, what? You all that? Damn, that's a lot of people. So what's your mom? Oh, she Puerto Rican. Like, hold up, bro. Hold on, I ain't see no Puerto Rican in there. Oh, but but my dad was Italian. Okay, so this is our people, right? So I say that to say the term white, when you Google it, okay, when you turn white, and just like I told you guys, from the Bacon's Rebellion. The Bacon's Rebellion was what year? 1676. And the term white came from the 17th century. So Bacon's Rebellion was this dude's like a governor. He came to Virginia and he put everybody together to beat up like certain people in Virginia and take over the towns and stuff like that, right? This is a quick synopsis, right? So he was I think he was a British dude. And basically he started a fight because he wanted some land. And the mayor of the town was like, nah, man, you can't. So he went ahead and got all the slaves and the indentured slaves and all that stuff. Indentured slaves were, some white boys as well. And he took over the town for a time. So they had to send the military down there to break all this up, right? So after that, you were no longer called a Frenchman, an Italianman, a Swede, a German. You were called white. So anybody that was Caucasian was called white. So that's where the word white people started. It started in the 1600s, which we call the 17th century. Okay. So just to give everybody an understanding. So when people say black, okay, they're talking about, people think they're talking about us, but the confusion is you keep hearing these people say, oh yeah, there were black Israel. Listen, we read the scriptures. We were scattered on every part of the earth. Everybody want everybody want a so-called Israelite man. We're very popular. Everybody wants an Israelite woman. Woman, we are very popular. Okay, we get that, but at the end of the day, not everybody's Israel. You know what I'm saying? Ellis Ball, he has the say on that one. All right. So again, we are not um saying everybody that's black is Israelites, but people keep confusing that word. This is why we keep trying to tell you, all right, say you Hebrew, say you this, say you that. But when you say black, that's very it's very like basic. So yes, there were dark-skinned people here. This stupid doctrine that it was only 100,000 people and they didn't do this. He bought 27,000 people on a fleet, 17 ships. Think about that. And they got here in like what, 70 days. So you saying they wasn't able to ship out that many people? America's big. He wasn't just grabbing people from the islands. And guess who followed Christopher Columbus? Yeah, your boy Cortez, Barboa. They came in the 1500s, lighting it up. Then somebody came in 1503. So he wasn't the only one. This is people keep understanding. He wasn't the only explorer. Explorers, when you look at them now, they are killers. They are like mercenaries for these countries. And Spain had a whole bunch. They was trained up by us. They knew how to fight. So we're going to get into this last video. And I couldn't find none of his translators. I found them, but I couldn't find no videos because they don't want to talk about his translators. All right. So this last two videos, one of them say Christopher Columbus was a so-called Jewish man. Can you believe this? Boy, I tell you, Esau. So let's get into this one. This is pretty funny. Like, really? He's a so-called Jew? It's only like a minute long, but this one is a little short. It's going to talk about when they said he was a thief, and guess who was really the thief? Yeah, Queen Isabel. She was something else. We definitely got to talk about her little self. All right, here we go.
Know that Columbus's voyage to America was literally funded by stolen Jewish gold? In March 1492, Queen Isabella of Castile signed the Alhambra Decree, ordering all Jews to leave Spain immediately. 200,000 people were given just 4 months to abandon everything they had built. But Isabella had a clever plan. As Jewish families fled in terror, royal soldiers seized their homes, businesses, and treasures, gold coins, silver jewelry, precious artifacts. All of it went straight into the royal treasury. By April, melting furnaces worked day and night, turning confiscated Jewish valuables into bars of pure metal. Isabella needed funding for a risky expedition. Christopher Columbus had been begging for ships and supplies. The timing was perfect. The stolen wealth would finance his journey west. In August 1492, just months after the expulsion, Columbus set sail with 3 ships. Every rope, every sail, every piece of food was bought with money seized from expelled Jews. The discovery of the New World was built on one of history's largest ethnic cleansings. Columbus reached America using stolen treasure. Did you
Look at that. So not only the Most High punishes, he allowed Esau to take our riches to fund it to go over there and get our brothers and sisters. And you gotta give it up for the Most High, boy. Whew. All right, this is the last video claiming that Christopher Columbus was a Jew.
Shocking news, breaking headline news, thanks to a new documentary that is out. You know the traditional understanding of Christopher Columbus. If you're not aware of it, I'll allow Tony Soprano to explain.
He was a brave Italian explorer.
There it's it. He was a brave Italian explorer. Christopher Columbus, great man. He was an Italian explorer. He tried to sail for Portugal. Portugal didn't want him. He tried to sail for Spain. Spain didn't want him, but eventually Spain relented. He sailed for Spain, discovered the Americas, gave us so much of what we call the modern world. And now there's a new documentary that says, no. He was not Italian. He only pretended to be Italian because he was born in Spain, but he had to hide the fact that he was born in Spain because Christopher Columbus was a Jew. Now, it's worth pointing out, there's not a ton, there's really no scientific evidence for this yet.
Yeah. So now this white boy, man, I tell you. So now this dude cutting off brothers' hands, having sex with little boys, raping women.
He probably wasn't. He probably wasn't wrong. He
His
probably telling the
own.
truth.
You got something to say, brother?
I say he probably telling the truth. He probably think he one of them Ashkenazi Jews. You know what I'm saying? He probably,
Yeah,
he probably, he might be right if you're looking at it that way. You see what I'm saying?
Con. I thought about that. The Ashkenazi Jews, the Amalekite was a wicked white boy, you know. So he could have been, a so-called Jewish man. But but during those times, they already knew who the Jews were. They knew the Jews were black. Um, and they covered it up with the Renaissance.
So like I believe that, but I don't believe that white boy you just showed in that video know that. I don't. He don't look like he know that though.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean it's a good point. Um, the Ashkenazi, that is true. Because I forget, because that happened with the Khazars, and that's because the Khazars, I can't remember the year. I'm having a brain fart. I'm trying to remember the Empire, the Khazars. Those were the white people that they converted into Judaism, as they call it, right? Into our culture of life, the Khazars. I think I'm saying it right. And damn, I'm having brain fart of what century they was around. I have to get back to you guys.
Russian immigrants, right?
You said who immigrants?
Russian.
Nah. I don't think they were Gretchen. Hold on, let me look real
Russian.
quick. You might be right. I'm having kind of a brain fart. Give me a second.
I always learned that they was Russian immigrants.
They could have been. It could have been. It could have been. All right. So the Khazars, they're Turkic people, established commercial empire in the 6th century. Um, so they was like over there in Russia, Ukraine, and stuff like that. Um, could have been. They say they likely included pagan Jew. Right. So they call them semi-nomadic Turkic people. So more than likely, I would probably have to say, yeah, it probably was Grecian, the 6th century. So that's when the Khazars they converted to our stuff, but I know they wasn't talking about them. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have no riches like that. They was talking about our people. Our people was established because we was ruling Spain for 1,000. We was ruling Europe for 1,000 years, right? We ruled Europe, so we had all the loot. So they had to be talking about us. But it's just funny. They said he was a Jew. Maybe his mom was messing with a Jew. Jake. You know what I'm saying? So maybe his brothers and sisters was Jewish. I don't know. I'm just making it funny. But you guys saw that the last video about him, possibly being a Jew, and then I showed you the video about how Queen Elizabeth stole all of our money. Isn't that ironic, right? So let's get the book of Ezekiel, um, chapter 4, verses 4 through 6. Bobby Kushai.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 4. Verse 4 through 6. When you got it, say come.
Good.
Lie thou also upon thy left side, and lay the iniquity of the house of Israel upon it, according to the number of the days that thou shalt lie upon it, thou shalt bear their iniquity.
God. That's talking about their captivity. All right. So as you can see, the house of Israel, they're gonna get they got some Yeah, they got some lashes. The number of days shall be light upon. Let's see what this number going to be. Verse 5.
For I have laid upon thee the years of their iniquity according to the number of the days, 390 days. So shalt thou bear the iniquity of the house of Israel. And when
Done.
thou
So,
hast accomplished them,
huh?
lie, and when thou hast accomplished them, lie again on thy right side, and thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Judah 40 days. I have appointed thee each day for a year.
Done. So, we do the math on that. That's 430 years. This is when we were supposed to get our most high get that lick back on our iniquity. And as we know, um, the Northern Kingdom went into slavery before us. They don't ever talk about it. I mean, according to everybody, the white man came over here. Somehow the natives went into reservations. They built it for themselves. What else they say? They was having a civil war. It's so much stuff. It doesn't even make sense. It's so many lies and so much truth and so many lies and so much truth. It gets ridiculous. And then when you actually read the truth, you're sitting in a bucket of tears like, man, you start to think about this stuff. This was happening to our people. And then, you look on TikTok and one of our brothers is shooting somebody in the forehead. And these women out here fighting like crazy. And these men out here wearing dresses and wigs. And it's just so much tomfoolery going on. Um, you just don't believe it, but then you gotta believe it. Look at our people. Look at what's going on. It's getting better, but look what's going on. I mean, there's no more race riots. You don't have to fight white boys all the way from your school to your house. That's not going on. Yeah, you still can't go in their neighborhoods. That's still kind of going on. They still hanging niggas or Negroes. That's still going on. So we're getting lynched every day. They still have police officers. A lot of our people have turned into the new Esau. That's what I call them, the new Esau lover. The black man who was getting beat up in high school. How come none of these cops are like, 6'5", all muscle, 6'2"? All these are these weak cops that's just, I can't believe I wanted to be one. But I thought I could change like my city, but thank God I never got on the force. Jesus Christ. But it was after I got in military. I thought I could make a difference. I'm so glad I didn't get on that force. But and my family was like, bro, you want to be a cop? So you want to be us? My brothers and them was mad. They was like, what? Nigga, you want to be a cop? So what you trying to say? I was like, nothing. I'm just saying, I was like, I think I can help. They was all against me, but I get it. You can't be a police officer in the United States and think you're gonna make a difference. It's not gonna happen. Are you smoking? So let me get this straight. You're gonna become a police officer with a high school diploma, no criminal background. You're gonna go to police academy, you're gonna get a little bit of criminal background, you still gotta go get your 4-year degree. You're going to put on that uniform, become a beat cop, ride around with somebody who hates your people in your neighborhood, and you literally think you're going to make a difference. Who are you going to hang with when you're a cop? Who are you going to hang with? You have to be a different person to become a police officer and look your brothers and sisters in their face every day and say, I love you, brother. I love you, sister. But I got to do this. You smoking weed. You selling Lucy's. You robbing people. You're doing this. Yeah, I don't want to hear about the white man. Look at me. I'm a police officer. No, I'm gonna tell you here, Mr. Police Officer, you're making a bad judgment. Those people in there is going to change your heart, and you're going to hate your people even worse. Before you became a cop, you can kill one of your brothers and sisters. It's easy to kill one of us, right? Because of these curses. Now you're a cop with power, and you're just going to abuse it. And I don't think a lot of people Get that. You know who told me this? A white boy. I was in Texas and I was going back and forth to Philadelphia, taking the exam and everything. Because I couldn't be a cop nowhere else. I got to be a cop in my dirty city. I just couldn't see me being a cop nowhere else. So I said, I got to be a cop in my city. I've seen a lot of cops, dirty cops in my day. But after I joined the military, I was kind of, brainwashed a little bit or a lot. And I thought I could, make a difference. White boy was like, bro, don't do it. I was like, huh? He was like, listen to me. Everybody's going to hate you. You're going to start hating everybody. And you're only going to be friends with other cops. I was like, nah, man, I got my. He was like, listen, everybody do something that's in the gray area. I was like, okay. He was like, so how do you think you're going to turn out? Do you think you can literally be on the force and live a normal life? And he was absolutely correct. You know, I listened to what he said and it made sense. This is from a white dude. He had to stop doing it. He was like, bro, I had to stop doing it. And, I wanted to go border patrol. Met a white guy on the plane. He was into all that stuff. He was like, bro, you don't want to do that. I was like, what? He was like, man, they down there putting babies in a pot of oil and cooking them in front of the different cartel people. They're chopping up bodies and leaving them in Suburbans in front of the house. And it's their kids and relatives chopped up in cars. I was like, what? He was like, bro, you don't want to do that. He showed me some stuff. He had a laptop. And I mean, I've seen all this stuff being in Iraq and stuff, but I was like, this happens here? He was like, bro, you don't even know. He was like, go ahead, rip that Border Patrol application up. And I didn't, but they wasn't hiring at the time. And as soon as I became a Hebrew Israelite in 2016, guess who started hiring? The Border Patrol. Crazy, right? I was ready to go to because I was trying to get up there. I didn't want to do Texas. I was trying to get up there near Canada. Because in Canada, they leave you out for like 4 days with food and a four-wheel, and you just drive around and stuff looking for people. Because I didn't want to do the stuff down here near Mexico because the cartel, it was killing everybody. But anyway, so, the Most High sent different people, to warn me, and it happened to be Esau. So my little testimony is that's what he does. He will send somebody to come warn you, right? And he will send somebody to punish you. We did not get punished as a nation of people because we had a civil war in the United States. So, in my conclusion, this is debunking all of the Christopher Columbus discovery. Okay. His discovery is what we would call a renaissance. That expedition, he was, that's why he died rich. He didn't die poor. I heard all these things. He died poor. I'm reading and stuff. So, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't like Attila the Hun. Attila the Hun, they say he died from a nosebleed or his old lady poisoned him. He had a nosebleed. And some say he died from a broken heart. It's different stuff, right? That was a long time ago. Alexander the Free, they say he died of different diseases. He got shot with that arrow. Somebody poisoned him, right? Different historical accounts. This wasn't that long ago. All right. This is 400 or 500 years ago. This dude died, and they don't know how he died. You know what I'm saying? So he did do something in the 1500s. He did. And I wanted to bring out something else. It wasn't another video, guys. I know it's getting late. But again, Israel went into hardcore slavery. And the longest, I mean, Judah had like 25 captivities, no folly. But this goes to show you that the devil coming over here was the most high will. Again, no white supremacy, or we had it a coming. This is the problem with Americans and some of the world. Prophecy holds power over conspiracy and karma and superstition all day. I will take a prophecy because that seems to be the way. eschatology or prophetic events that happen, they've all been proven after it happened. They say it 2, 3, 4, 500 years, and then it happens. All right. So the book of Deuteronomy was written a long time ago, like 3,000, 2,500 years ago. And it said some of God's chosen people will go. We just use that one scripture, will go on ships or go into slavery by way of ships. Who was those people? There was no white Jew on the ship. They couldn't even take a concentration camp. Do you literally think these Caucasian people can get on a ship for 3 months with no water, feces everywhere, women menstruating, having babies? You know what I'm saying? You think they can do that? They couldn't even survive a potato famine. Stop playing with me. So again, prophecy holds power over conspiracy, karma, superstition all day. So in conclusion, the white man and woman are the goddamn devil that the Bible speaks of, because she is diabolical. I think she worse. She's something else. It probably was a woman with Christopher Columbus we don't even know about. She was over there cutting off heads and all sorts of stuff. It'll probably come out in 10 years. Yeah, Christopher Columbus' little sister, Maria, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? She was off the chain, man. No folly. But again, I wanted to show y'all the brother. Let me see, where is it at? So this was his interpreter, because I know I mentioned interpreter, right? And they didn't really want to bring this. They used to have a picture of him, right? They used to have a picture of him. Where is it at? Slovakia. I think I got it. No, it's just in my other stash. Okay. All right. So we bring this out first. So this is the guy who was the translator. Now, like I said, they used to have a picture of him. Look, this is the white Jew right here who was forced to be a Christian here, right? Anyway, this is the Hebrew translator who traveled with Christopher Columbus, was Luis de Torres. Columbus brought him because he was a conversio, a Jew who had converted, right? But he didn't convert. Here it is right here. So it talks about him right here. De Torres was a conversio, Jewish person who was forced to convert to Christianity to be put to death according to Spain, unless, hold on, I'm trying to move this thing over. Death, or be put to death according to the Spanish Inquisition, apparently born Joseph ben Halafi Haveri in Mongur, Spain. He was chosen by Columbus for his knowledge of Hebrew. There we go. We don't need to get into the Arab. There were no Arabs over there. All right. Now, when Christopher Columbus left, he left this brother there in 1493 among the other 39 men. So if I'm a betting man, this nigga had them other dudes killed. Because the word on the street is it was 4 translators, right? It was 4 translators. If I'm Christopher Columbus, I'm taking my top. You know what I mean? The one Negro that's butt broken, no folly, but I'm not trying to take the dude who I know when I turn my head, he's going to put 2 bullets in my head. I'm going to take the dude that's like, all right, I love the white man, right? So he left this dude. He was like, hey, you can stay, man, because you probably with them anyway. And what happened? They found the island Hispaniola coming back the end of the year. Columbus learned the whole garrison had been wiped out. Never found this dude. From 1972 to 2021, a synagogue in the Bahamas existed that was named after De Torres. Why did they name that after him? Yeah. So I just wanted to put that out there. Like I said, they used to have a picture of the brother. He had his little shorts on, not shorts. He had like some little khaki johns on, little hat and stuff. You could tell in the picture he wasn't nobody to be messed with. So again, this brother was forced. If anybody's forced to do something against their will, you know what I'm saying? That's why Christopher Columbus left him there, because he couldn't trust him. I mean, I ain't a mathematician, but 1 plus 1 is 2. You're not going to leave your number one interpreter, right? Your number one translator. We had an interpreter, and he was good. He wasn't my interpreter, but he was like for my squadron, and he was nice. He would do whatever you want, but come to find out, they had his whole family captive, so we had to let him go, and they killed him and his whole family because he ain't had no information. And they was just killing Terps over there like crazy. This was in our this is my second tour. You know, my first tour, they didn't really torture him that much because you know it hasn't been like a year. But after like 9 months, you know, and we would promise these guys money and say we take care of your family and stuff like that. So we didn't even force them to do it or they get killed. We said we'd give them money. And what happened? We lied to them. You saw what happened in Afghanistan, right? The white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. What it say in Psalms? His tongue was smoother than butter. His words of his mouth were smoother than butter. This is this man. I ain't trying to put it down y'all throat, pause, but you cannot trust this dude. Like I said again, if he's a you work for them, that's one thing. That is, we work with them all the time. You know, we have white clients that we talk to all the time. I'm not going to be like, you devil. No, they paying us money. Yeah. We'll get them when they get to the kingdom. Lord willing, we make it, right? We get on them chariots, right? Just keep showing up here, right? Giving everybody a drone show, but it's chariots, right? So again, I hope everybody learned something. So that brother, he was left back, and out of nowhere they got wiped out. He wasn't found nowhere, right? Come on now, you know they took him in. You know Israel, they was up there smoking that Swedish Chiba. You know they wasn't doing that fentanyl up there doing that all them drugs. And he was like, "Yeah, I got a plan," and I believe that's what happened. So that is the quick and dirty on Christopher Columbus. Anyone have any questions? I hope everybody was edified. Um so got any questions there, Mr. Miller? All right. So yeah, hopefully everybody was edified. And
Great lesson.
go ahead.
No, and con. Great lesson.
Oh, the
Great.
water. Thank you, sister. Appreciate that. Yeah, I was talking about this dude forever, this dude Christopher Columbus. So again, like I said, hopefully everybody edified and understand, you know, what this holiday is. It's a cover up. It was another form of a renaissance. And as we go in and come out of this Feast of Tabernacle, get ready to go to the dedication, you know, of Feast of Dedication. Just remember who you are and get out there, you know, tell your family. After you tell them twice, it is what it is, man. They'll figure it out. You know, they will figure it out when Trump send them National Guard to your neighborhood. All
So
right.
Salakia, my grandson is a HPD officer. I gotta tell him everything you just said. So, not not to be friend with them rednecks, because he's very friendly type guy, and everybody like him, including them. I'm telling him you can't trust him. You can't trust him. Don't be going out hanging out with him, and you the only black. No, don't do it.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Nah, don't do that. No, because when I was going to do the Philadelphia department, my buddy, like a lot of people I went to church with, I was a Methodist, and like all of them were cops. And so they have something called the Black Union or something like that. So every police force have like a black power section where, you know, all the blacks hang out at. But when it's blue code, yeah, he has to deal with that or something's going to happen to him. So if something blue code and everybody cover, you have to do it. Like you can be that guy who went around here killing everybody, but he was trained, you know. So that's the difficult part. When you see them doing something or slamming somebody, and you're like, yo, what you doing, man? That's my people. You know, you really have no say in that, especially as a rookie. If you got some seniority, you can say something, but everybody's gonna be looking at you slant-eyed. And I mean, I don't know what's going on in Atlanta. All right. Everybody in Atlanta is black. I have no idea what's going on with Atlanta PD. All right. That is the most corrupt force on the planet. Fulton County is so corrupted. It is ridiculous. Even I went to jail. And I lived there for like 10 years. It was some stupid stuff over a traffic expired tag. And they lied. I just came from Germany. I wasn't in the country 3 days. And they threw me in jail for like a week, talking about I was AWOL. I had to get a full bird colonel to come down and was like, what? This is Fulton County, Georgia. This is in 2000. 2002 this happened. It's 2025. And it's so much stuff happening there. Some young lady got beat to death because they put her in the jail cell with another mental ill and she mental ill. So they beat her to death and they found her under the bunk. They don't know who did it. Um, who was in the jail cell with her? So it's so much stuff going on in this world, and our people, are getting more wicked and wickeder because they getting this power, but these curses are getting well. I can't say they're getting stronger because they've fallen on to the to Esau as well. But again, if you can prevent your kids, your family from joining the military or the PD, they have other options. They can be IT, they can be I ain't say go to MIT now, but they can be IT. They can do so much stuff, plumbers, electricians.
Con,
If you go
Salaki,
ahead.
Salaki. He came down from flying planes to come down here and do this junk on the streets with the gun. He was going to be a pilot. So I think he wanted to fly the helicopters for HBD or something like that because I guess the money it took to be the pilot, I don't know what kind of problems he was having, but he was flying pretty much every day. And like my niece, she's finna be a pilot, but Jaden
Mhm.
just came down and wanted to be a HBD officer. Like his dad, it was a Harris County officer.
Oh, his dad was an officer.
Yeah, he retired now. He's a wicked something, Mason.
Mm,
Yeah, Mason
mm.
turned my grandson to Mason. Jaden said, "No, you ain't gonna be no agent of darkness and living under nobody's code." But I'm gonna tell him what everything you said about the HBD and not hanging with the other nations.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. They have to. The the problem is he's young and he was indoctrinated just like I was. I wanted to be SWAT because I like kicking in doors, shooting people in the face. So I said, yeah, I'm gonna do SWAT. And my uncle was like, bro, won't you be a fireman? I'm like, I ain't being no fireman. I'm gonna be a cop. But I said, I didn't really want to be a cop. I wanted to do SWAT, you know, because I didn't think of the border patrol. So then once I got away from being a cop, I was gonna do border patrol. And border patrol, they got something called a coyote, and they go hunt you. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do the coyote. And I kept running into the right people. I ran into a coyote. I ran into this white boy who knew about all this stuff. They like, bro, you crazy? Nah. He was like, half them dudes will run. You be in there shooting up everybody, and they gonna run and leave you. I'm like, for real? He was like, yes. There's no code amongst thieves, and he said they will leave you. I was like, man, you crazy. These people that join up, he was like, no, bro, no, don't even do it. So I ran into so many people, you know, and so your family member, he just didn't run into the right person to warn him. He's just full of ambition and zeal and everything. And then when something happens, you looking around like, what do I do? So hopefully, you can talk to him and let him know, like, listen, keep your nose clean. Don't be hanging out with him, and follow everything by the book. And don't be taking on long rides talking about, hey man, yeah, we ain't got room for you. Why don't you ride in the back? No, we're not doing that. So he just has to always have his head on a swivel. do his little bit of time, save his money, and maybe do another route, being a pilot or something, or he can, fly the hospital airplanes, those things, or helicopters.
Um, life
But
flight, the
yeah,
light helicopters and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like I say, you know how it is. You're young and you got your mind made up, and people don't give you that mind of wisdom. So hopefully, you can give them some of this wisdom and understanding that that's not in your best interest. It's not that you're a coward. It's just not in your best interest because I had to, we had to go through some adversities as being, Israel. We're older. Half of these guys never even called the N word. You know, um, they never got jumped by some white people or called the N word or assaulted, jumped, and stuff like that. I'm not saying you have to go through that, but the way we grew up, these 70s and 80s babies, it was rough. No shot on the 90s. Y'all got some of it, but you born in 2000. Come on, man. Stop playing with me. Y'all got 2K and all this other stuff that's going on. We're not trying to say you guys are weaker because you guys are a younger generation. We paved the road just like our mother and fathers, they paved the road for us, but everything has to do with these curses. So we just want you guys to do the best thing. And the best thing is, getting your own business, or not just getting your own business, just getting the trade, but he want to be out there. So hopefully you can go ahead and give him some of this honey and milk and persuade them. Only thing you can do is just put the seed. But again, hopefully everybody um, had a blessed Feast of Tabernacles, and we're gonna go into this Feast of Dedication, and hopefully you guys got some edification. So let's go ahead and end it with Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verses 13 through 14. Baba Kusha.
I'm finna say this Tuesday night class ain't no honey and milk. This steak and
You said
potatoes.
what again?
I said I'm finna say this Tuesday night class ain't no honey and milk. This steak and potatoes in these Tuesday Thursday night class. Ain't no honey and milk. It's steak and potatoes off in here, baby.
God.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yahweh and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
Verse 14.
For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
God. So whether it be good, whether it be evil. All right. So again, brothers and sisters, this is what happened to us right here. They didn't fear God. So he sent them people. They got off them ships with roaches and rats and lice and all sorts of stuff, and went ahead and just started cutting us with them dirty, rusty swords, because they was on sea. It was iron and stuff, rusty. Man, Esau, boy, they gonna pay. But anyway, so I'm glad you guys enjoyed the class. Hopefully, you guys get some edification and understand this. It wasn't a discovery. It was basically a murder slash payback slash renaissance for them to bring them into power. And it was smooth. It worked for a good time. It was smooth the way they did it. I can't hate on them. It was, hey man, he discovered it. Oh, really? Oh, okay. And everybody felt good for him. But it is what it is. So everybody, you gonna do the Lord's Prayer for me? Yazian? I'm still working on it. Just make sure you speak into the phone because you kept coming in and out. Everybody go ahead and face the east. Brother Yazian is gonna go ahead. Yazian is gonna go ahead and do the Lord's Prayer in Paleo Hebrew. I'm up here slacking. So the brother's going to go ahead and take the torch for me for the Paleo Hebrew. So please face the east.
God. Abanawa, Sabasamayim, Kadash, Haya, Sukkah, Yahweh, Malawaka, Taba'a, Ratazaka, Haya, Isa, Barataza, Kawa, Haya, Basamayim, Natan Lanawa, Lakamu, Kalyawam, Wasalak Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kawawaf Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kawawafia Nawa, Wala'a, Tabaya Nawa, Banasaya 1, Abal, Hawashaya Nawa, Maya, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Wa'ala, Wa'ataya Paya Lawalamyam, Amen.
Amen. Come. All praises, all praises. All right. So let me do it in English.
All praises.
God. Brother praying mighty in the word. All right. So let's go to the book of Matthew, okay? Chapter 6, verse 9. All right. Salakia. All right. So our Father who art in heaven, God be thy name, thy kingdom come, God will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us our trespasses as we forgive our trespassers. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For God is the kingdom, the power, the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, I was reading it. I didn't even face it. I had to get up and turn around, face the east. Salakia. All right, everyone. So this is it for the Tuesday night class. So hopefully everyone was edified. And you know, again, thank you guys for participating. And we got the news tomorrow. And then we have Thursday night, okay? And then we have Saturday. I'm not sure what's up with Clubhouse. I know the sisters be on there on Sunday. So again, love everyone. So HOI to the chariots fly, death to America, and shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom, family.